What's up everybody, my name's Taylor, welcome to S3 Magazine. Today we're going to be installing some VMS wheels and a VMS lowering kit on my 2002 Z06. Last episode we installed some Corbo seats and they are amazing. Today we're going to be putting some wheels on and completely changing the look of this car. I'm so stoked for this. Let's get into it. Before we get started on the actual install, I wanted to do a quick unboxing. So let's go back in past and get the wheels unboxed because due to some logistical issues, I couldn't unbox them and get them on the same day. So I unboxed them yesterday. Let's go check it out. And then we'll come back and show off the new wheels with the tires all mounted up and balanced, and we'll get to work. Let's do it. Okay, so what we have here is a set of VMS V-Star wheels. I went with an 18 by 10.5 plus 52 rear and an 18 by 9.5 plus 40 front. This should give it a very, very aggressive look. I really wanted to have a square tire setup as well. I didn't want to have any stretch. So we have a 295, 40, 18 Falcon RT16K plus and a 275, 40 Dunlop Sport Max 2 for the fronts. One of the reasons I chose the V-Stars was I love the etched look into the face of the wheel. So the wheel's actually gloss black, and you can see where they machined out some of the finish in the wheel itself, and they actually glossed over it. So it has a glossy finish. It's not matte on the silver parts of the bare metal on the wheel. So they are protected. It's not gonna rust. Nothing's gonna happen to them. I love this look. It's such a classic design, and it looks really good on any car, really. I've seen it on a couple Mustangs. They look really good. I'm really excited to see them on a C5 Z06. And as far as accessories go, we have a rear lowering kit for the car and a front lowering kit for the car. So we're gonna lower the car. I'm trying to go for about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches at most. I don't want it slammed, but I just want a really good fitment with these thick tires. We also got a set of their stainless steel lug nuts VMS sells, and that's much better than stock because the stock is like a two-piece system. You have the lug nut and then like a little plastic cap. I prefer just a stainless steel look, and I think it will look really good with the stainless steel accents on these wheels. All right, that's enough chit chat. Let's get to work. All right, so as far as the lowering kit, let's go and unbox the fronts and check them out. It looks like, yep, so these are the front bolts. So one thing to note about these is that they actually pivot. The stock ones are just fixed. So when you lower the car, it kind of binds itself. Yeah, this is really, really nice. It has like a Delrin bottom piece to stop from any vibrations. Yeah, I'm really stoked on the fronts. These look really good. As far as the rears, let's check them out. So we have new bushings all around. We have, oh, these are really nice. These are very, very solid. They feel like, yeah, they feel like polyurethane mounts. I will double check that they are, if they are not, but we have grade 8 steel bolts, longer actually, so they allow for a better lowering on the car. So that's interesting. And then I think it comes with just new nuts as well and washers. Yeah, so we have new nuts and new washers, all new hardware. This all feels really solid. Yeah, so we have grade A bolts, we have poly bushings, and we have new washers and nuts. So there's nothing left to do but stop talking and get to work. Let's get the car's already in the air, so we don't have to do that. Let's go ahead and start with the rear. I think the rear is gonna be a little easier to tackle. So let's knock that out, and then we'll get started on the fronts, and then we can get these wheels on. Okay, so the rear is pretty simple. You have an 18 on the bottom and a 21 on the top. I think it's easier if you just use an adjustable wrench up here. You're just gonna hold this nut up here and lower this bolt. Basically, it's gonna pull the whole bolt out of this nut right here and pull everything apart. So let's get this knocked out and go from there. Man, it's simple as that. Let's compare this bolt to the new bolt, and let's have a good side-by-side of what they look like. Okay, so for a side-by-side, you can see that the lowering bolt is actually about 1.5 inches longer, maybe an inch, yeah, about 1.5 inches longer than the stock bolt. Basically, the more threads you have this way, the lower the car can get. My bolt was already maxed out, so you could see kind of where it was sitting. It was sitting all the way at the top, so my rear was already maxed out low. So now we're gonna get about 1.5 inches more of lowering. And you can see the bushings. These bushings are shot. My car is high miles compared to these new Delrin poly bushings and new washers, new bolts, or new nuts, sorry. This is gonna absolutely change how this car feels, and it's gonna look better because it's gonna be lower. And now that we have the new bolt together, you can see how it kind of goes. You're gonna put a washer, a bushing on the bottom, a washer and bushing on the top, and then you have your threaded lock nut. So let's get this installed in the car and get this thing lowered. One thing to note is that the new bolt is actually a 22 on the bottom. So like the other one was an 18, this is a 22. So just a heads up. Once that's all on, the next step is just tighten it down however far you want. I would probably go all the way down just to match what the car was at, and then I'm gonna raise it up about 1/2 inch and see how that lowers the car overall. So I'm gonna do about 1/2 inch on each side and then see where that gets the car sitting, and then we'll go from there. Now that I have the bolt threaded all the way down, I'm gonna use my caliper and I'm gonna see what we're sitting at height-wise, and then we're gonna go 1/2 inch from that. So I'm gonna use this measurement and then subtract 1/2 inch and see where that gets us on the lowering. And here's the finished product. As you can see, we have the new bolt in, both bushings installed. So let's get the other side in. All right, so now we're on the driver's side, and with some editing magic, let's get this done. So now the driver's side's done. Let's move on to the front. The front's gonna be a little bit more tough. You have to remove pretty much the whole front suspension. So let's get this knocked out and get these wheels on and go get some photos. Okay, so like I said, the front is a lot more involved. We have to drop the top of the 2 control arm bolts. We have to disconnect the sway bar here. You're gonna need a flat wrench to get in here and hold one in and then spin this outside. I think we're gonna have to do both, I'm not 100% sure. The strut bolts down here, there's 2 13s right here and right here. You're gonna have to drop pull both of these out, and then the whole suspension will come down. I'm gonna use a jack to support this A-arm down here, and then we'll start threading down the lowering bolt, which is right here. So let's get to work. Okay, so now that we have everything disconnected, the only thing we have left is the lowering bolt itself. It's a 10mm, and we're gonna spin it down into the A-arm. Right now it's spun into the actual leaf spring here. So what we need to do is drop the A-arm a little bit and then let this leaf spring, or unbolt this from the leaf spring, and it'll kind of drop out. So let's get that going. What would be working on your car without an issue arising? So my issue now is that my lowering bolt right here, the stock one, is somehow bent, stuck, or lodged itself or something inside this leaf spring. So in my head, I think I'm just gonna go drop the whole leaf spring. It's just 4 bolts. Drop the whole thing and see what I can do about this, because I can't really get in, and if I need to cut it out, I can't cut it out in the car. So yeah, let's see what we're gonna do about this. We all know what this means. This is not a good sign. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but every time I work on cars, I swear I have to go to the parts store at least once. So now I need a bigger disc, cutting disc, because my angle grinder, this disc is just a little bit too small to get in there and cut that bolt. In theory, I will be able to cut this bolt and then get the old one out, but we'll see. I don't know how the stock bolts get bent, but that's something to keep in mind when if you're doing yours. Just plan for that. You never really know what's gonna happen. And yeah, so let's go see if we can get a new disc and go from there. After a trip to the store and some music therapy, we got these. These should work in theory. Let's go get this bolt cut off and get this car done so we can get some awesome photos in the sunset tonight. It's gonna be so good. So fingers crossed we can get this done. Finally. Oh my God. Thank you, angle grinder. Thank you, angle grinder. Look at this. This is a suspension bolt. How is it bent? How does it bend? I don't understand. That's clearly bent. That's insane. I do not know how that happens in a Corvette, but yeah, be aware of this. I didn't think I'd be dealing with it, but yeah, you can get an angle grinder under there. I cut it off, and now we can put the new bolts in with the Delrin bushing. I'm so ready to have these in and those out. After about 35 minutes of going to war with this car, I got the passenger side bolt out, and we have them side by side here. You can see that this one pivots and this one does not. So this one's fixed and this bushing's pretty shot. So once you get the bolt out, what you're going to do is just thread this one in, and it should come right up. So for lowering on the fronts, you want it to come all the way up. So the highest it can go is the lowest that the car will be. So I'm gonna try from there. I know that sometimes the stock bolts definitely don't get it that low. So I'll try max low on these, and then we'll see. If I'm rubbing ridiculously, then I'll just come in here and raise it up, which to raise it, you just kind of turn it, you wanna turn it clockwise, and that'll lower the bottom of it, pushing it away from the A-arm. So, yep, now let's get all the suspension back together. Let's get this leaf spring put back together, because I had to take the entire leaf spring apart, and then put the wheels on and we'll be good to go. Minor detours, it's all part of working on cars. Can't get discouraged about it. It happens to everybody. We're gonna start by jacking up the A-arm and kind of get these two bolts in. Then we're gonna get the shock bolts in. And lastly, we're gonna do the sway bar. And then the whole car will be back together. And then we can knock out the other side. Some magic. Now the suspension's all back in. Only one thing left to do. Let's get these wheels on. Obviously the suspension needs to settle some. The car's sitting about an inch higher than it will. Man, I am so happy with how these look. Let's go get some pictures. The sunset's perfect right now. I have no words. These wheels fit this car so well. I do need to raise, I do need to adjust the suspension just a little bit. The front is rubbing pretty good. I think I went a little bit too aggressive on the tire, but I can just raise it up a little bit. So as you saw in the last clip, obviously it's not the same day. I had to change the front tires out. The other ones were a little bit too big. So I switched to a 255/35 Accelera 651 Sport. I'll do a quick walk around for you, and then we can go get some photos. I want to give a huge thank you to VMS for sending the wheels out in the lowering kit. It makes the car look 100 times better than it did. Go subscribe to S3 Magazine. We're running a promo right now. 2-year subscription, free t-shirt. Put some picture right here. Go check it out. Link in the description. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.